My neighbour Matilda has Down syndrome. She is now 14, and I've watched her grow and develop, participating fully in family life, going to school, running, cycling, somewhat precariously occasionally, playing tennis, and as part of a street dance team. Life seems pretty typical for her. She goes to mainstream school at Admiral Lord Nelson School in Portsmouth, where she's very much part of school life. And yet I am aware of the barriers that have been placed in her way of her development, from accessing the school of her choice to having the right healthcare, and particularly the lack of appropriate speech and language provision. Some of the most simple of decisions have been made very tricky, because although it's often the decision of the parents and the individual that are taken into account, you have to interact with many government agencies, as others have mentioned, which takes time. You sometimes have to fight for provision, which takes time. And all of this is going on when you're just trying to enjoy family life. From early on, I became acquainted with an incredible organisation in my then constituency called Portsmouth Down Syndrome Association. This organisation has paved the way for many children in Portsmouth and surrounding areas, including Meon Valley and beyond, to be properly supported in their education, to be given better access to healthcare where their needs were better met, because the charity actually provides training to health professionals involved. A place where new parents could meet others straight away and have a wonderful support network around them. But perhaps most importantly, because the charity is involved in so many areas of day-to-day life, the support can be taken for granted. The celebration of inclusion means that Portsmouth and Meon Valley see these children everywhere. The awareness that's been raised by this charity through clubs and societies, through nurseries and schools, has meant that the path for children with Down syndrome has got a lot better than any time that I've known. As the MP for Meon Valley, I have now the founders of Portsmouth Down Syndrome Association, Rachel Ross, MBE, and Ken Ross as my constituents. And I can't see them up there, but I know they're listening because they've been on the radio and various other media over the last few days because they've been instrumental in helping with this bill. Many of you will have met Max, their son Max, on Tuesday at the drop-in event. And I have followed his progress through school and into college. I've seen what he's managed to achieve through properly adapted processes delivered by this charity, and I'm really excited for his future. However, from speaking with many other colleagues, I know that these stories are not typical of the outcomes, and at least what they're aware of in their constituencies. Families with little support from external bodies and children who are faced with struggle at all stages of their childhood, with very little prospects for employment as adults. MENCAP and NHS England reported in 2018 that only 6% of adults with a learning disability who are known to local authorities actually had a job. That's just 6%. And it's fundamentally not right that due to a lack of awareness, people with Down syndrome in many parts of the country do not get the same opportunities that I see supported and delivered where I live by Portsmouth Down Syndrome Association. However, it's also not right that these services have to be delivered by charities when the state, with specialist advice, is capable of stepping in to support in these areas. As a consequence, when my good friend and colleague, the Right Honourable Member for North Somerset, proposed the Down Syndrome Bill, I jumped at the chance to support him, and I was honoured to be a co-sponsor of this bill. The framework delivered through this bill will have a lasting and far-reaching benefit for people with Down syndrome in England. So I'd like to pay tribute also to Ken and Rachel Ross, and also Annabel Torr for all their work on this landmark bill. And I'm extremely grateful that the government has agreed to back this bill, and I look forward to ensuring that it becomes an act which will help transform lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.